Cinemajaw is brought to you by Cards Against Humanity. Guess what?
What, Matt?
They asked us not to read an ad.
Are you kidding me?
I'm serious.
That is so cool.
Dead serious.
Wow.
Enjoy the show. You're listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded on location at Cards Against Humanity in Chicago. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is...
Rye the Movie Guy. And sitting alongside us is our engineer and local filmmaker, Elias Rodriguez.
How's it going, Jawheads?
This week on Cinemajaw, Matt, we have a little fun with the movie title as we cover our top 5 favorite misleading movie titles.
This is a fun topic, puns galore.
There's a new movie coming out. We're going to have a review for it next week. I caught it at the Chicago Critics Film Festival. It is entitled A Ghost Story with Casey Affleck.
And there's no ghosts.
There is a ghost, but when you hear a ghost
There's no story.
There is a story also. But when you hear a ghost story, you're thinking this is probably a horror film of some sort. You know what I mean?
Or supernatural at least.
Right. And if anything, it is a film about grief, a film about time, the passage of time. It has a lot going on. We're going to discuss that when we review it next week. But it is not a traditional ghost story. And that got us thinking of misleading movie titles. And I'm sure there's some listeners out there that have had that happen, where they rented a movie or went to see a movie based on the title.
Sure.
And were completely shocked that it was about something.
No, I had a ton of fun with this topic. It reminded me of like a viral Facebook post. It's like, describe your life in a movie title, or your love life in a movie title. Have you seen these?
I have.
Yeah, it's good fun.
It is. In addition to that, we have 2 great guests who are going to be joining us this week.
Yes, we do. Philip and Devon from Fatal Funnel Films. They have a screening this weekend at the Windy City Film Festival. They're a writer-director team. Can't wait to talk to them.
Yeah, they have a short film out. It is entitled Cellar Door. And I literally just watched it before I drove over here to record Cinemajaw.
Oh, so it's fresh in your mind.
Very fresh. Watched it about 30 minutes ago. So.
I also recently watched it, so.
Nice.
Yeah, excited to talk to him about it.
Can't wait. Plus, it is the beginning of a new month. Matt, we are through 6 months. This drops, it is July, and we promised the Jawheads a new riddle.
Yeah. Oh, and happy Independence Day, everybody.
Yes, happy Independence Day. So we have a brand new riddle also. This is unbelievable.
I know. It's like fireworks, Ryan.
Yeah. Besides that, we have a whole lot more going on, don't we, Elias?
Oh, yes, we are going eye for an eye on Spider-Man Homecoming.
And we have 3 reviews this week, guys. We got Baby Driver, The Big Sick, and it's the Cinemajaw Movie Club pick of the month, which is Glengary Glen Ross.
Nice. Jam-packed with the reviews.
It is.
It is awesome. Plus, as Elias mentioned, we're going eye for an eye on Spider-Man Homecoming. So I thought this is a good time for Matt to take on Devon and Philip in Spider-Man movie trivia. Think of all the different actors and actresses that have been in all the different Spider-Man movies recently.
Okay.
They're all open for trivia questions.
All the Spider-Man movies?
All of them.
Okay.
All right?
Even the third one?
Yes.
Okay.
The one that you tried to forget.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, did you see this in the news? I don't know. This was shocking. I know I grieved for a little while. Daniel Day-Lewis announced his retirement from acting.
Who cares?
What do you mean?
I mean,
man,
who cares?
I will get up, walk across this table, and smack you in the face. What do you mean, who cares?
Bring it. Who cares?
Oh, come on. This is the greatest living actor of our generation.
Overrated.
Oh,
Overrated.
CinemaWAR. Whew, man, you are going down big time.
I don't know. I brought my A game today.
I am going to drink that milkshake up, Matt K.
Yeah. Didn't see that one coming.
I'm sure there's going to be plenty of puns this episode.
There's going to be plenty of milkshakes.
So, Matt, before we bring in our guest, as I promised, we have a brand new riddle.
Yeah, it's a tradition.
It is.
A lot of fun.
Every start of the month, we have a brand new riddle for the Jawheads, and they are supposed to be getting progressively harder, and it seems to be bringing out the challenge in the Jawheads. They're coming at it.
Yeah, I like it.
I do, too. I love hearing from them. Before we get to the July riddle of the month, we have to pick a winner for the June. Do you have the June riddle still pulled up, Matt?
I do. Why don't I read it? Refresh everybody. Here's the June riddle. I have played a baseball player and a bowler. I have voiced 3 Pixar movies that have come out in the theater. Speaking of animation, I played the lead in a live-action adaptation of a famous cartoon. I have appeared in 2 movies that won the Best Picture Oscar. Yet, having been in over 50 films since 1983, I have never received an acting nomination at the Academy Awards.
Wow.
Who am I?
That was a good riddle.
It was.
It was. And we did hear from plenty of jawheads who did get it correct. One of them being Jay Silvilla. I might be butchering his name. He wrote in, "Hey guys, this was a hard one, but after much deliberation, I think I came up with it. The answer is the underrated and incomparable John Goodman. He played a baseball player, Babe Ruth, in The Babe, and a bowler in The Big Lebowski. He was the voice of Sullivan in the Pixar films Monsters, Inc. and Monsters University, as well as voicing a character in Cars. He played Fred Flintstone in the live-action adaptation of The Flintstones alongside Rick Moranis
The Rick Moranis version, I Seymour is Rick Moranis for
as Barney Rubble. In parentheses, please, Rick Moranis, come back to acting."
Yeah, he went the Daniel Day-Lewis route.
Yep. The two movies he appeared in that have won Oscars are Argo and The Artist, and I think it is an absolute travesty that he has never been nominated for an Academy Award. He's a goddamn national treasure.
Yes, he is.
Can't wait for the next riddle. Thanks, guys. Jay. Thanks, Jay. He
Yeah.
is absolutely correct. It is John Goodman.
Well said, Jay.
And we heard from quite a bit of jawheads that did answer it correctly. Matt picked out a correct winner, and the winner is Sheldon Stevens of Wichita, Kansas. And this is great because actually Sheldon, I know he's been listening for a long time. I'm pretty sure he won a contest, one of those when we used to do them on Twitter
Oh, really?
back then.
Oh, well done, Sheldon.
Yeah, Sheldon, shoot us your address. We will send out a CinemaJaw prize pack. Now, that takes care of June. Matt helped me with this riddle,
Yes.
which makes it scary.
It's going to fire off like a bottle rocket.
So here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the July riddle. We will read it at the end of the podcast as well. Matt, hit it.
I have played a convicted felon in a comedy. I was in a movie named after a city. There are internal body parts in another title I was in. I have appeared in one Will Ferrell film and have starred in a movie that sees John Travolta sing and dance. And I have voiced a character in a successful animated series. Who am I?
If you know the answer to the July riddle, write us feedback at CinemaJaw.
That's a
And
tough one.
It is.
We've crossed the halfway mark, and I think they're just going to be getting harder. They're getting harder to write.
Yes, and there are still a handful out there that I think have answered every single one correct.
This is fun to keep track of.
And so we are keeping track, and we will announce those names. Again, feedback at CinemaJaw, and let us know where you're writing from, as we like to know where all the Jawheads are listening to us
Yeah,
from.
that's fun.
Awesome. All right, Matt. So without further ado, we bring in our guests. As you mentioned, Devon and Philip, they have a new film out. It is entitled Cellar Door. It's a short film. It's playing at the Windy City Film Fest, a film fest that Elias's short film is also playing in. Philip, Devon, welcome to CinemaJaw.
Thanks for having us.
How's it going?
So the listeners know exactly who's talking. Introduce yourself and say something funny.
My name is Philip Plowden, and I'm a director and co-founder of Fatal Funnel Films. And something funny. Wow, that's
Not his strong
No
suit.
pressure or anything.
yeah.
Ray likes to come with the pressure.
I'm a pretty serious guy, so
There you go.
Philip's serious. We got that. Over to Devon. Devon.
My name is Devon Colwel. I'm also co-founder of Fatal Funnel Films. I am a writer and wow, a talking muffin. Do with that what you will.
There you go. There you go.
That is awesome.
Talking muffins are good.
Now, I guess we'll start with Fatal Funnel Films. Pretty cool name. This is a production company that you guys started. When did you get this off the ground?
well, we started this in 2014, and Devin and I were looking for titles and looking for names for the company, and we decided that Fatal Funnel, which is a military breaching term, should be kind of woven into our production company because it's all about taking a leap of faith in a precarious business. Devin is a former Marine, so I'll let him kind of elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, we were talking about starting this production company and kind of we're questioning whether or not it was the right move, if we even knew what we were doing, whether or not we should just go ahead and cross that threshold and go for it. And I brought up that there's a term in military urban tactics called the fatal funnel. It's the most dangerous portion of entering a house to clear it. It's basically the doorway. You have to cross the threshold. And I brought that up as an analogy of like, let's just go ahead and take this leap. Let's do it. Damn the consequences. Let's see what happens. And I was using it as a kind of morale booster in the moment, but the next day we actually were getting together to go kind of register the company, I should say, with the lawyer to form the LLC. And I said, that story I was saying yesterday, that it's called The Fatal Funnel, and I thought that was an interesting title, and he had the exact same idea. He had actually written it down on a card, and it just kind of stuck from that moment on.
It's pretty neat. Where did you guys meet?
We met on the set of Chicago PD, actually. We're both in the locations department, and
that's actually an interesting part of the story. You guys, the day job is in film as well.
The day job is in film. Yeah, we're fortunate enough to be able to work in the business that we ultimately want to, control. And yeah, we were just talking about stories and different independent projects we'd worked on versus studio projects. And I think it was 3 a.m. in a warehouse on PD that we started rapping back and forth about thriller films and the serial killer film that I had in my mind, and been through various, artists and writers that had, come up a little bit short. So Devin said, well, I'll write you an outline. And it was a Friday night, and I was like, oh, okay, I've kind of heard that before. And then on Monday, I opened up my inbox, and there's a 19-page outline sitting there regarding this film that I had in my mind for years, and, took chances, took risks, had an ending, that's always a good thing. And definitely, I said to myself, well, this is something that we need to take a little bit further, just because it was so spot on to what I had been looking for, and wanting to find, that partner that understood things that I had written and just wasn't able to get, to the finishing line. So
yeah. And it's interesting because not everybody is listening to this is from Chicago and realizes that these television shows, Chicago PD, there's a host of these Dick Wolf dramas, Chicago Fire,
For sure,
Chicago Law. I don't even know what they're up to now.
Procedurals, a lot of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chicago Med.
Yeah, they're all shot out of this Cinespace studio.
Yep.
Did that allow you guys to work with some people to eventually make Cellar Door?
Definitely, yeah. Actually, a lot of the so the way it works with film crew members is most of them are actually freelance. When you're on a series, you get hired on for the run of the season, but it's not like we're NBC full-time employees that just get sent to whatever show they're filming. So crew members tend to bump into each other, whatever's in town. We're working on this movie, and then we see each other on the next movie. And as a result of that, you get to know the guys, you get to know what their strengths are, you get to talking about what your personal projects are, because most people that work in the film industry on the crew level, have ambitions. They want to be writers, they want to be directors, they want to be cinematographers. And what ends up happening is when you say, well, I have a project, we're greenlit to film it at this time, are you available? And what ends up happening is you get the people that you work with on a daily basis come and join you, and you join forces, and everyone's got, the same vision. It's not really a matter of, we're the boss and we're going to tell you what to do and you need to provide for us. Like, everyone is on the same page. Everybody wants to create something and have a good time doing it.
It's a collaboration.
Exactly.
It's definitely what we're all about. We're all about that team-based collaboration and making people feel like they're a part of something, as opposed to, the studio side is very hierarchical. So there's a big hierarchy involved, and we, have a job to fulfill. And again, we don't really get to flex our creative muscles so much. So I think that these independent projects allow us a little bit more freedom, allow us to come together with some of these other people in the business, but also they allow us to use a lot of the resources as well. On Cellar Door specifically, we had a lot of people coming out to help us out with rentals, gear rentals, and location rentals, and Cinespace was very gracious to let us use some rehearsal space, and we got involved with Periscope Post and Audio over there. Jonathan Bross, Mike Ness, their company. And they really helped us out when it came to finishing the film, putting it through a really rigorous post-production process that came out, and you can see the result on the screen. So.
Yeah, you can definitely tell.
Yeah, and speaking of Cellar Door, it's screening this weekend. And I want to talk about the screening and the strategy that you guys are using, where it's sort of going to tie into a feature, which is something that's coming down the pipe from you in 2 films, I believe, right?
Correct. Well, it's just one film. It was originally the film that he had written the outline for that I got in my inbox, Raven's Point, was a film, again, that I've been kicking around, for several years now, feature length. And I actually wrote a short when I was at film school, Columbia College, and in an adaptation class. And so for a while now, I'd been kicking it around, met Devin, we started hooked up, got the script done, And then it just became about, well, what can we do? You know, we have the script. We don't want to be two guys sitting around just with the script in our hands. Let's make, you know, a teaser. So we made this little teaser short in 2015. And then we made Cellar Door as a prequel. You know, we have a limited window to work when we were on hiatus from PD. And so we made this prequel, Cellar Door, which theoretically is a companion piece to Raven's Point. Takes place 10 years before Raven's Point starts. And Raven's Point would be the next chapter in that.
So this was a conscious decision as part of the strategy of getting the feature film out the door eventually, was to sort of make this short film as sort of like a calling card.
Well, you have to prove yourself in this business.
Sure.
I mean, you know, we may have experience on other films, other projects, things like that. You know,
But this is
vast
your own.
experience. But this is our own experience. You know, can we do this? You know, what does it look like? Can we have a successful production? And so I think Cellar Door really tested our mettle, so to speak, with ambitious days. We had 4 days of filming. We had, you know, a bunch of different locations, company moves, big crew. So it was an ambitious short film, and definitely I think proved that we could do it.
Yeah, and I think, you know, when we started talking about making a short, you know, there was a small debate about, well, do we just, you know, do we make like a trailer for the feature? Do we just take a chunk of it and film a couple scenes? I mean, I think movies like Whiplash, kind of famously, that's how they got their funding, was they just filmed a scene of the movie. But we got talking about it, and I said, you know, I think it would be a lot more challenging and interesting if we actually wrote a kind of separate story, but that is in the same universe and kind of informs the feature-length film. So we had this idea of, like, you know, taking an old case that's kind of talked about in the feature and actually like visiting that case and seeing what that looked like 10 years ago. And so that's where the idea of making a prequel to the film came from, and making a companion piece. And actually, I think it worked out great for us, because it actually kind of drove us to revisit the feature and say, like, well, what can we push to kind of tie these together? And took us in some interesting directions. And it benefited us greatly, not only to put something on film and to have that experience of directing and being with the crew out on location, but really diving into the story and the characters and fleshing out their backstory. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And my hat's off to you for creating like a realistic world. You felt that these characters lived in this world, like something was going on there. I think it was because there was a lot that is sort of not explained. You're just seeing like these different cases of what might have happened to these missing children. So right away, I was like intrigued. I actually, before we started recording, asked if you guys could possibly turn this into a series, because it almost reminded me like a True Detective season 1, something where they're flashing back to something like, oh man, I want to know more about these characters. So that was hats off to you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, we spent a lot of time developing these characters, like I said, in the feature, and then when it came time to do the short film, it was a smooth transition. So.
Yeah. Now I know when working on Elias's film, he had this shot in mind where he wanted to use a drone. Mm-hmm. And you guys used, it seemed, a couple of drones in these shots. On a technical side, did that prove difficult? Because you flew them pretty smooth when you were following the car on a couple shots.
We didn't actually operate them ourselves.
They wouldn't let us. We tried.
Yeah. But these guys, Marcel Marin, he's a local drone operator, camera guy. He came out, and our director of photography, the great Daryl Miller, recommended him and brought him under, and he was just excited about, using his tools and using his toys and coming out. And this Elliot Bansel was the operator, and they really they killed it with some of these shots. I mean,
it adds something to it.
It really
added something to it. I definitely did. It gave you a scope, gave you a little bit of the environment. And I'm a huge fan of sort of the the ominous Western shot and the sheriff on his horse. And I think we had a little bit of similarity with that, with the car and the old sheriff and his car kind of riding around. So
yeah, I like that.
I did too.
Yeah. Also, Elias is on here all the time. He's talking about going to these film festivals, and one of the great things Elias does is networking with other filmmakers and such. Talk about your experience as far as rolling this out, going to film festivals, talking to filmmakers, all that good stuff.
Well, it's certainly been a fun experience. We've gotten into a couple festivals. We had a couple of screenings. One that was at the AMC. That was kind of a celebratory cast and crew party. And then we had a screening for Chicago PD cast and crew through Patrick Lives On, which is an organization started by the script supervisor at the Patio Theater. So we've had a couple of good reactions to the project, and we're excited about the Chicago premiere at Windy City. We were at Twister Alley, and unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to go down to Oklahoma. But Josh Hope, who runs that festival, wanted to bring it to Chicago, and he does that here. So we're definitely excited about having the party on Friday and the premiere and sharing with all these other filmmakers and, seeing their projects as well.
That's awesome.
What are the plans for Cellar Door specifically after its film festival run? Are you going to release it online or?
There will be a public release online for sure. We'll have it on our website. We'll have it on probably YouTube, Vimeo channel, things like that. Facebook page, obviously. And then, the feature, Ravens Point, will be the eventual film that we're going to make, whether it be the series or something like that. But no, I think the feature is ready to go.
Ideas, right?
Right now, now the wheels are turning. Devin, could you go right there?
Yeah.
No,
we've already done 2 scripts. Why not a third and fourth and fifth?
Why not? And why not just keep it rolling? But no, one of the things we came to the conclusion of this, sort of hiatus from our studio jobs is that we need to create more content, and we need to make it on the feature level. And Ravens Point is a very ambitious feature. It's an expensive budget. It's a period piece, dual period piece actually, because we have flashbacks as well. And it's got a lot of locations and a relatively big cast. So despite the trimming down that we did as a result of Cellar Door, we came to the conclusion this hiatus that we wanted to find a micro budget story that we could do next summer and be our first sort of inaugural feature that we can film, that we can keep small, and yet within the same thriller genre that we're trying to market ourselves with and trying to build a brand around.
And is that Range Runners?
Range Runners, yeah. It's our
Mhm.
new project.
It's called Range Runners. It's a thriller about a woman who's through hiking the Appalachian Trail, and she gets involved with some criminals back there that are up to no good and kind of desperate themselves. So it's a very visceral, gritty survival story. Takes place on primarily on this one trail, the Appalachian Trail. So, and Devin and I are both pretty much, we're avid hikers and we love nature and both have sort of I guess you could say an athletic background in training. I did some Thai boxing and have always been into sports, and obviously his Marine background. So it allows us to connect, I think, with this character, a female lead, which will be a very interesting, intriguing piece.
Awesome. See, that's why we're not successful on Cinemajaw, Matt. We need better backgrounds,
What do you
right?
mean we're not successful?
These guys are doing kickboxing and military stuff.
Well, what do you do?
Nothing. That's what I'm saying.
Let's get off your ass, Rye. Do something.
Yeah. Now, listen, for the jawheads listening to this that want to get involved, maybe follow the film, maybe go out to a festival, or eventually find out information when it does come out online, where's the best place to support you guys online?
FatalFunnelFilms.com is our website. We also have a Cellar Door Facebook fan page. I don't know how Facebook works, but I think you like it or you something it. And it will give you updates. We'll let you know what's going on. We try to be really active in our social media presence, just letting you know, not just waiting for a movie to come out that we can push on you, but we let you know what we're doing. Things like this podcast or table reads, or when we go out and do scouts. We try to keep you involved and keep it a little interactive. So there's a lot more to offer than just the finished product if you're interested.
Yeah, and we've been trying to get into Cinespace to talk to someone over there to maybe do a podcast. I think it would be pretty cool. So if you guys
That would
want
be cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Talk to somebody,
Definitely talk to them.
We'll put in a good word for
Yeah,
you.
we've had a few people now on from Cinespace, and I keep saying that, and it doesn't happen yet.
Well,
Matt, come on.
The Jawheads probably don't even realize this is a treasure here in Chicago.
I know.
It's a huge movie studio. It's like a backlot, basically. There's a lot of sound stages and stuff like that.
I believe it's the biggest movie studio in America next to L.A., I believe.
Yeah,
if I'm not
outside of
mistaken.
Los Angeles.
yeah.
That's what I've
And
heard also. That's pretty neat.
The Pisios family has really brought that to Chicago and allowed people to, have steady work with all the other shows that are coming into town, and also to have, incubators like Stage 18 that's coming around and other things that are, again, bringing in content and things like this into Chicago so that we can stay here, so that when you graduate film school, you can go and make movies right here in this great state of Illinois and this great state in this great city of Chicago. So
Here.
I like it.
Because nobody wants to move to L.A. if they don't have to.
Why leave
Good.
Chicago?
Yeah, why leave?
Yeah, the tax credit, at the Illinois Film Office. I mean, they've been really great about pushing that, and so hopefully it's here to stick around for a while.
I hope so too.
Awesome. Now, we like to end all of our guest interviews with some silly cinema cues. Get to know the guest through the eye of the lens. Elias, I see you smiling over there. What do you got for these guys?
Okay, so Devin, you impressed Philip with a 19-page outline. So if you had to write the outline for Talking Muffin, the film, what would be some of the beats?
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, I guess the reveal of the fact that the muffin can talk is very important. So you gotta time that beat just right. You gotta set the stage. I think the backstory of the character is obviously very important. We want to know where this muffin comes from. Is he baked? Is he raw? I mean, what's the deal with him?
Is he doughy? Yeah, I mean,
Would you
exactly.
would you be vague or would you go direct?
Oh man, I think for the initial outline, I would have to be pretty vague. But the more you get into it, the more details you flesh out.
All right, sounds intriguing. And how, Philip, would you direct that? With how would you inspire your actors to work with the muffin?
well, I would have them eat a lot of muffins first, just to get a real taste for the muffin.
To become the muffin.
we'd
That's
have to-
that's really messed up.
it is.
It's
It
a
is.
talking muffin. It's obviously sentient.
It's got it's
But
a
it's so
sensitive muffin.
delicious. I mean, how
That
do you
means it's
resist?
also a screaming muffin.
I'd
Phil.
also want to find out what kind of muffin it is.
Is it craisin? Is it chocolate chip? You don't know.
Is it blueberry?
Could have a filling in there.
I like
Wow.
banana nut myself.
Yeah, I like the banana nut also.
All right.
So yeah,
That's all I got.
it'd be very we'd delve them into the character.
Oh, good stuff.
See, I see this is your third feature. There we go.
The talking muffin.
Oh no, it's going to be our first now. We're just changing everything.
We're changing everything up. Yep,
This
Be great.
changes everything.
Super low budget. It has to be.
it would have to be, and we just need a bakery. Ben Fork in Highland Park.
Oh, good times. All right, so Devin and Philip are sitting in on this entire Cinemajaw. They have their list of misleading titles. Hopefully we have some fun with that topic.
Yeah.
Brings us to a segment called Eye for an Eye. Elias?
Eye for an Eye, Spider-Man Homecoming. Following the events of Captain America's Civil War, Peter Parker attempts to balance his life in high school with his career as the web-slinging superhero Spider-Man. The film stars The film stars Andrew Garfield. Hold on. The film stars Tom Holland, Michael Keaton, Robert Downey Jr., and Marissa Tomei. It is directed by Tom Watts, whose only other major directing title was 2015's Cop Car. We throw it over to Rye.
Matt, I'm not even doing this to get you hot under the collar here and get you angry.
Okay.
I on the level, if there was a needle, judging my excitement level, it wouldn't even get off a 0. Big time ignore. I've seen too much Spidey. I'm not.
Bite your tongue.
I'm not interested in watching him. I've joked how Spider-Man, the character, is literally our Benjamin Button. He's just getting younger with age in every single movie. So now we got him in high school. I can't wait for the next one when we see him right around 6th grade. Maybe I'll get involved when he's in kindergarten.
Ultimate Spider-Man. Totally going to happen.
Oh, my God. Ignore for me, Matt.
Listen, my son's name is Parker, okay? So if I said ignore to Spider-Man, that would truly, truly be blasphemy. I have to admit a little bit of skepticism, let's just say. I don't like what they've done with Aunt May, making her Marissa Tomei. Although she's a wonderful, talented actress, I don't think she fits that role. I'm getting too into the weeds. Interested, but it's worrisome.
We throw it over to Philip. Interested or ignore on Spider-Man Homecoming?
Definitely ignore.
Oh, nice. Have you seen the other Spider-Mans?
I have, but again, I'm a little bit burned out from.
Nice.
all
I
the-
agree.
My
It's
kid,
easy to be burned
she's
out.
3.5. She loves superheroes. She loves things, but we're a DC house. We're
That's
not-
okay.
Not into Marvel.
It's okay.
Devin, interested or ignore on Spidey?
I'm gonna have to go with ignore as well. I wouldn't say I'm burned out on Spider-Man because I don't think I've watched a single of the Marvel movies since after the original Iron Man. I've just never been interested in any of them. Great for them that they got the rights back. Hopefully they'll do something more interesting with it, but it won't be until it hits Netflix that I see it.
These are your type of guests.
They
right here.
are.
Yeah.
I mean-
I'm the comic book nerd. I love the superhero movies.
I can't even recall.
Hey, I love Batman. We can talk Batman. We can talk
It's
Batman
actually
all day.
pretty exciting because I can't recall the last time we did a superhero movie, went round robin like this, and there were 3 ignores at this point when we throw it over to Elias. You got any excitement for Spidey?
Like everyone's saying, I think it's cool that Marvel has the rights, at least half of the rights. But some of the posters and bus stop ads that I've seen for this just look very terrible and cheesy. I'm just going to go ignore overall.
Wow.
I will
I
say,
did not see this coming.
early critical buzz from
Yeah.
this is positive, but who knows? Who knows? That could be them buying early critical buzz.
4 ignores for Spider-Man Homecoming, 1 interested, and it's from a guy who has a son named Parker. So you got to put that as a disclaimer.
And even I made it a disclaimer.
Yes. Wow. I didn't see that coming. I really am just not excited. That said, being a big movie, I may end up seeing it to review it here for the Jawheads.
Of course.
Yes. Speaking of new movie reviews, Matt, I got worried here. I was not able to get out to see Baby Driver, but Matt, I believe, hopped in the vehicle and checked this one out.
Yes. In his first auteur solo effort, Edgar Wright, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, almost Ant-Man, has truly done something special with film and music.
You've been my driver for every job since we met. You're the best in the business. I'm gonna need you behind the wheel again.
One more job and I'm done.
One more job, and we're straight.
Hey, baby.
Why is he listening to music all the time?
He had an accident when he was a kid.
He's got mental problems.
I'm the one got the mental problems in the crew. Position taken.
Superman has his sunshine. Popeye has his spinach. The titular Baby Driver has his music. Played by Ansel Elgort, Baby is a prodigy of a wheelman, literally driven by music. Orphaned by a crash that also left him with tinnitus, he is permanently adorned with earbuds in and a pocket full of iPods to suit his mood and drown out the ringing in his ears. He promises his foster dad that after one last job, he will be square with the kingpin he works for and free from the criminal lifestyle. But things have a way of going wrong. Music is so intrinsic to this film that you would not be drifting out of your lane to call it a modern-day muscle car musical. And while this term may get bandied about somewhat loosely, the soundtrack actually is a living, breathing character in the movie, to the extent that we actually fear for its life when bullets fly its way. You'll see what I mean when you watch it. To say that the film is set to music is to vastly oversimplify. The film does not function without the music. Baby Driver is built upon the music as the clay of a sculpture is built over a wireframe. The music is the bones, and the action is the meat. This is easily the most eclectic and well thought out movie soundtrack using pop hits of all time. Guardians of the Galaxy be damned. Critics will call this an extended music video with lyrics finding themselves surrealistically placed into the set pieces, but I would argue that while the idea was first expressed as a music video, it is a welcomed evolution to a tired and retired genre. I found the original aesthetics and fast-paced set-to-music style refreshing. This is a cool movie. The cast is superlative. Kevin Spacey manages to expertly balance a menace that makes you hate him with an obvious paternal affection that makes you love him the way only he can do. Jamie Foxx, always solid. Lily James' Deborah is as cute and alluring to Baby as Elza Gonzalez's Darling is to Buddy, John Hamm's character. If I had to levy one criticism toward this film, it would be the lack of development of the female characters, who, especially the former, can come off a bit flat. In a nonstop movie, perhaps their stories just weren't as important to the narrative at hand, but I would have liked a little bit more from the women. Speaking of John Hamm, this is a performance that will leave you asking, Don who? Baby Driver is the best film you will see this summer. Baby Driver is potentially the best film you will see all year. It veers close to a Tarantino-esque masterpiece, the likes of which we have not seen at the cinema in a number of summers.
Wow, you were that impressed with Baby Driver, huh?
Oh, yeah. I don't think I'm alone.
No, I'm sure. I mean, you know, we run around in the same circles here, so I know I was following just on Twitter some of the other critics, like a David Fowey or, you know, a Mark Dusick, and it seemed everybody was quite impressed with this movie.
Oh, yeah. Guys, run out and see this one. This is an awesome, awesome movie.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I picked a bad one to miss. I got to go see this one at the theater now.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
I'm telling you, you probably couldn't have picked a worse one to miss.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Here I am stuck reviewing Pirates of the Caribbean 5, and the one that I have to miss is Baby Driver.
I know. It's a super bummer, dude. It was a lot of fun.
I've been worried about John Hamm. I'm so glad you're saying that he is excellent in this, because I actually would say prior to this, the guy can't act outside of Don Draper. I couldn't think of another great role that he's been in.
He hasn't had one, and perhaps it's because he hasn't been given something to sink his teeth into. Here, he just goes buck wild. It goes for it. I think maybe he felt the desperation in his career.
And you
Who
didn't
knows?
even mention Jamie Foxx. He's in here as well, right?
Well, I did. I mentioned him. He plays this character Bats, who is, as the name would imply, is batshit crazy, right? He's sort of the loose cannon that gets the plot rolling and creates the conflicts that get things to the second and third act. Jamie Foxx is always solid. I don't think he does anything here that's like super remarkable from Jamie Foxx, and maybe it's the character wasn't super remarkable. He looks cool, and he does a great job. It's just, compared to John Hamm and even Kevin Spacey, whose part's a lot smaller, maybe he's just, I don't know, a little outgunned in this movie.
Wow.
Wow, Matt. So you were talking this up. Do you have a favorite scene in particular?
Yeah, so I mentioned how the lyrics find themselves in the background. The opening sequence, complete with a heist. Naturally, this is a heist film. And then it goes into a musical montage where the character Baby Driver is sort of walking through the city. Fantastic.
You said you had trouble with the women characters. Were they part of the scene that you had trouble with?
No. I would have liked to have seen some more from them. Yeah. The scene that I had the most trouble with, though, actually they are somewhat involved. There's this like dream sequence, sort of. It's not exactly a dream sequence. It's more like he's imagining something. It's Baby imagining an idyllic life with Deborah. They do one, and that's okay. I feel it was earned, but they do a second one, and I was like, okay, this is a little too much. I did have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Did you see any movie influences?
Yeah, honestly, Tarantino, like I mentioned, yet it's not as mean-spirited as Tarantino. I think Edgar Wright directing a Tarantino script, if you can imagine that, he brings
that
a little bit.
Awesome.
Yeah, and also, if you're really a fan of cars and music, there's this film called Two Lane Blacktop. It's very old. It's a classic muscle car. Miles Davis is one of the drivers in this movie, and I would encourage everyone to seek it out. It's an absolute gearhead classic. And I'm not a gearhead, but I know of it.
What did you learn from this movie?
Get a manual transmission. That is so cool. I mean, you're going to want to drive immediately after. It's like wheel porn. You want to, like, after you get out of the movie theater, you sit down in your car, you want to do a donut right away.
Much like Drive, right? I remember when Ryan Gosling, I had that feeling anyways. I wanted to get a white leather jacket, and I wanted to drive.
It's like
more than Drive.
The first Fast and the Furious movie. I was in high school, and everyone was going nuts for that. But that's another story. What would your movie poster quote be?
Buckle up, motherfucker.
I like it.
Phil complete it.
Let's assign some Jaws here, Matt. How many Jaws for Baby Driver?
This is a 4-Jaw movie.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Nice.
Absolutely 4 Jaws all the way.
So you would say this is a 2017 Jaw gem.
This is a film we're going to be talking about for the rest of the year. It is a Jaw gem.
Jaw gem. I like it. Nice.
Add it to the list.
Yes, I think I saw a Jaw gem, Matt. The Big Sick. It seems to me that the romantic comedy is one of the tougher genres to pull off these days. That's why I'm so excited to talk about this one. It is one of the best I have seen in a long time. I went to the the theater, to check out The Big Sick.
Are you judging Pakistan's next top model?
You know how we have arranged marriage in my culture?
Oh my god, I'm so stupid. Can you imagine a world in which we end up together?
I don't know. I'm looking for Emily Gardner. She was checked in tonight.
There's an infection. We put her in a medically induced coma.
Coma.
You should call her family.
Thank you, Kamala. We're gonna handle things from here.
I think I'm just gonna wait anyway.
You guys broke up. I'm not sure why you're here.
I'm just gonna stay for a second. Is this seat? Okay. Is that lady still looking at me?
Written and starring Camille Nanjiani as himself, The Big Sick tells the true story of how he met his future wife, Emily. Camille is best known, perhaps, for starring in the HBO show Silicon Valley. However, we Chicagoans may know him better as the Pakistani comedian that broke out of the Chicago scene in a big way. Yes, the film is set in Chicago, where we meet Camille, a young Pakistani comedian doing sets at local comedy clubs and also perfecting his one-man show, Citizen. We quickly see that his family is still very traditional, and along with that comes arranged marriages. This becomes an issue when Camille meets Emily at one of his shows. The two quickly strike up a relationship that seems to be going great. That all stops when it comes time to meet Camille's parents. And it's at this rocky point in the relationship, Matt, that Emily comes down with a serious infection, is rushed to the hospital, and induced into a coma for treatment. Camille, who is kind of an ex-boyfriend at this point, ends up meeting Emily's parents at the hospital and begins to help them cope with the situation. The three of them start to bond, and Camille begins to realize how special his relationship with Emily truly is. The film is written by Camille and the real Emily, Emily Gordon, and it's superb, anchored by a great script here. So many funny moments, and I mean laugh out loud kind of funny. There is even a 9/11 joke that worked surprisingly well, and I think we can all agree that that is a very fine line to walk. The cast around Camille is also great. Ray Romano and Holly Hunter play Emily's parents. I enjoyed both their performances. Holly Hunter in particular is outstanding as the caring mother. Even the romantic elements worked for me. I attribute that to the realistic characters that are created on screen. Zoe Kazan, who plays Emily, comes off so natural. I found myself really caring for a character to pull through. This is a film that will have you laughing, crying, and laughing again. This is a summer indie film that should not be missed. Man, I loved it.
Are we doing the questions?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we could just go right to the questions since you don't care.
No, I care. Go ahead, Elias. I have questions too.
Yeah, then you can ask something now.
You think this is on the same par? So you're giving this top marks. I'm anticipating.
Very, very high remarks, yes.
Okay. I mean...
It is tough to come up with a really good creative romantic comedy that doesn't come off where I think a lot of guys, when they go see these romantic comedies, sit there and sort of roll their eyes at a few moments. Everybody enjoyed this movie. I mean, the theater was like behind the characters. And you don't get that very much where people are cheering. They just want them all to somehow pull through out of the hospital situation, and also they really ultimately want them to come together.
It's been making the rounds. It's certainly been getting a lot of buzz, and I actually heard about it on NPR, and I was sort of selling it to you, describing it as this year's Sleepwalk with Me. Was it?
Well, I mean, on that indie sense, but I think this is far better than Sleepwalk with Me.
Oh,
I do.
Okay.
And it's funny, we were talking on Slack, and I had mentioned to Matt, I'm like, yeah, going to see The Big Sick. I don't know what it's about. Matt just ruins it and gives me the whole synopsis, like he copies and pastes.
I didn't ruin it.
I don't want to know. I just want to go and see it. I was just commenting.
It's the elevator pitch, dude.
No, it was wonderful though.
Real quick, do you have any issues with? So it sounds like it's very just autobiographical, and he's playing himself. Do you? Because to me, that's a film. That's why it's probably way better than the average rom-com, because it's directly from his life. Do you see that as a different type of film? You know,
I don't. I mean, you wonder. I think at that point, if he was going to branch out and they were going to make a second film, I think that's when you would call into question. Let's see how creative these guys are, because they had this story, sort of in their pocket, because this really did happen.
Well, and that's why I compared it to Sleepwalk with Me. Same thing.
But I think the story is a little bit more dramatic, or so different, that she goes into this coma at a time when he's basically just broke up with her. And then all of a sudden this happens, and he's sort of in this, like, that weird situation, as you can imagine, 4 days removed from being with someone, and then all of a sudden you're sort of in the hospital hoping that person is okay. It was very interesting. And actually Camille and the real Emily were on hand for Q&A at the theater.
Yeah.
And so they were actually able to talk about how he had done a podcast that Judd Apatow had attended. Make It Weird. Is that the name of the podcast? You Make It Weird, I believe is the name of it.
You Made It Weird.
Made It Weird. Okay, there you go. And Judd basically came to them and said, hey, start writing an idea. I'll get behind you. And they came up with this idea, as you were alluding to, Elias, something that was obviously they went through. And he saw it and said, hey, you got to change it a little bit. You got to make it more for the screen. You got to change some things. So, yes, the basis is there, but I do think they
took an artistic license.
Exactly.
Yes.
So.
Good. Sounded like they were guided correctly by Judd Apatow.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite scene in particular?
Favorite scene, I love when Camille has Emily over. There's a wonderful moment here where he has her over, and it's like the first time he wants to show her his favorite horror movie. And I think people who have been in a relationship and really are you like someone, that moment where you want to share something with them, and it's special to see how they react, more so than you watching your favorite horror film. You're hoping and almost judging their person on that reaction. I've never quite seen that before in a movie, but I know that exists. I think we've all probably been through that.
Absolutely.
And they capture that moment perfectly in this movie.
Any scene you have trouble with?
If I hit a bad scene, and I really didn't, much like you were saying for Baby Driver for you, Matt, I really had a tough time picking anything out here. But I would say his mom, and this is Camille's mom, who is also Pakistani, is trying to constantly set him up for arranged marriage. And this happens maybe 1, 2, 3 many times. You know, there's moments where they're going through women and women, bringing them over to dinner, and it's like, okay, we got the point after 3. You don't got to do 6 of these. So that would be a nitpick at all.
Movie influences?
Influences here. Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, which we loved.
Yeah.
And also While You Were Sleeping with Sandra Bullock. So
Chicago classic, another one.
Yes, another one. Stays in Chicago.
What did you learn from this movie?
That Ray Romano can really nail a supporting role. I could see him doing more of these sort of oddball father roles where it's not all about Ray Romano. He's the side character, but
everybody loves him.
Yes, everybody loves Ray, and you can see him stealing just a scene or two, and that's just perfect. Just enough Romano for me. You know?
What would your movie poster quote be?
My movie poster quote would be, "Fall in love with being sick."
You need to work on that one, dude.
I try, Matt K.
Fall in love with being sick.
I am giving this 3.5 Jaws.
What about Lovesick?
Not bad.
All right, see?
All right, I'll go with Lovesick. Hey, let's write these together.
We could be the next
Every once in a
writer-director
while,
team,
collaboration,
you know?
it works.
That's the writer.
Yeah.
Yep.
3.5 Jaws. Do seek this one out. I don't know how wide this one is going to be, but it's wonderful, and it was purchased by Amazon Studios. These guys are doing great work trying to get, art out there that people might not have seen.
I think they're just trying to make money, but
Yeah, true.
But you know what? Hats off to them.
They got Whole Foods for that, though.
They did, right. I know. Big news. Big news.
Yes. All right. Woo. Wow, we are going through some reviews. You guys have seen Glengary Glen Ross. This was our movie pick of the month for June.
Yeah, movie club, pick of the month.
Yeah, Matt.
Glengary Glen Ross. I wrote something nice and short here, guys. After we lost the great Roger Ebert, David Mamet took the title of Chicago's greatest living treasure, and anybody who disagrees can eat a Ditka. Glengary Glen Ross won the playwright the Pulitzer Prize, and after viewing the film version, it's easy to see why. The cast is so obviously brilliant, it hardly bears mentioning anymore. So what I will stress is the absolute mastery of language that Mamet displays with his Mamet speak. It makes Aaron Sorkin dialogue look like something from an 80s sitcom. He so cleverly subverts meaning to his own persuasive ends and then exposes the fact that he is trying to persuade you, which in and of itself is persuasive. One could write a thesis on this movie, and I'm sure many have. I will keep it short and sum up to say this is a clear masterpiece. The Alec Baldwin scene alone is well worth the price of admission. If you have somehow missed this classic, or it has been over 15 years as it had been for me, do yourself a favor and close on Glengary Glen Ross.
I also wrote something short here, Matt, and it was that Glengary Glen Ross. This was the first time I had seen the film, so I didn't know what to expect. All I had heard was all about the great writing and cast, and I do say it's an examination on what the pressures of sales can do to people.
Absolutely.
Right? The amazing performances are really actually one-upped by the writing. I was stunned how well written this is. This may be one of the best written films of all time, I think, and obviously based off of the play. The script, based on the stage play, both written, as you mentioned, by David Mamet. One thing I was struck by was how even the script is, too. It gives each character their moment, and each one of those moments are complex and intricate. The actors all rise to the occasion, and what we get is a movie that flows so smooth. I was left wanting more. It all comes down to the leads, Matt. The leads. We need good leads.
Yeah, man, the Glengary leads.
Yes.
How about favorite scenes, guys?
Favorite scene for me, tough not to go with Alec Baldwin.
You can't not go with Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, Alec Baldwin, but I also have to highlight Ed Harris talking to Alan Arkin.
Oh, yeah.
And he's trying to convince him to steal the leads, to break in.
Steal? Are we talking about a robbery?
Yeah, and I love what they did here. There's these quick cuts in between the two characters as they're talking with the dialogue. Wonderful. I mean, if you're out there and you want to make films for a living, watch this scene. The dialogue and the cuts, it's spectacular.
Yeah, absolutely. Devin, you need to watch this scene just for the writing between the two characters. I don't know if it's ever been topped. I really don't.
It's awesome.
It really is.
Any bad scenes?
This is Al Pacino for me at a time when he was just starting to become the Al Pacino I don't like.
Really? There's an Al Pacino you don't like?
Yeah, there's about a 5 to 8 year period where it's just like, I don't like Al Pacino. Everything he does is...
What?
Yes.
What are you talking about?
Yes. Any Given Sunday?
88 minutes.
88 minutes. These are movies that it's like, I hate Al Pacino. This guy's a washed up. Then he comes back actually with that HBO movie where he played the doctor who helps people commit suicide. What is
Kevorkian?
it? Yes. And he was excellent there. And now it's sort of, he's come back. But
you're so
there
off.
is.
Okay,
no,
fine,
there's
fine.
about an 8 year period where Pacino
8 years? Maybe he made a couple
No.
of duds, man.
No.
But
throw it in the jaw box. See the movies right around when we're talking 88 minutes on any given Sunday, and just list off a couple of Pacino duds.
what about Insomnia?
He's the weakest, probably, of
Devil's
Christopher
Advocate?
Nolan's movies. Yeah, that's in there. That's probably where I'm like this. I mean, it was a decent role for him, but
You got to be kidding me.
no, yeah. So
Okay,
that
all right,
scene,
go on,
that
man.
scene when he's at the
shock.
bar,
I'm in shock.
That scene when he's at the bar and he's basically selling the guy some of the real estate. That it's just that moment where I'm like, oh, I hate Pacino here. I don't know.
What the hell is wrong with you? Seriously,
okay.
wait, and you subscribe to this too, Philip?
You agree that there's almost too much Pacino in Pacino sometimes.
Yeah, he gets a little bit, blustery with his overacting, I call it. A little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh?
Devin, anything bad to say about Mr. Al Pacino?
Nothing comes to mind. I mean, I love The Devil's Advocate, and I think he's just got that. He's got the look, man. I don't even know if he's acting in that movie. That's the thing. He's just kind of there for the ride, but you feel like he could definitely be your father, the devil.
Yeah, I think last Halloween we argued who played the devil better. Was it Jack Nicholson?
And I actually fought for Al Pacino.
Did you?
I did. So
How about movie influences?
it was difficult getting influences thinking of a movie that was already older, so I had to think of something even older. I went Wall Street.
Yeah, that is a very difficult.
I wanted to say Boiler
taller.
Room, but Boiler Room came out after.
Was probably influenced by
Right.
this film.
Yeah. Throw that in the jaw box. When Boiler Room came out, I can't even remember, but
Will
yeah.
do. What did you learn from this flick?
That Jack Lemmon could be Kevin Spacey's father. This film opens up with Jack Lemmon, and I forgot that we were watching a little bit older of a film. I thought it was Kevin Spacey for about 30, 40 seconds. Maybe my vision's
You
right.
just need to get your eyes checked, buddy.
No, it looked like an older Kevin Spacey.
First
like
you
does
say
now.
you don't like Al Pacino.
No.
Now this,
No,
Ryan.
I swear to you, have you seen Kevin Spacey with the gray hair in House of Cards?
Sure.
It looks like Jack Lemmon.
I just
in that
saw him in
movie.
Baby Driver. I
All
mean,
right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think he looks like Jack Lemmon, but okay.
Movie poster quote.
Movie poster quote, Matt, would... okay, this one's a good one. I don't know if you're going to doctor this one up. It would be this. This movie is a great investment.
Yeah, it's a little on the nose, man.
You can't even impress this guy.
No.
You're going out of your way to smear everything I say tonight.
No, I mean, this has so many great lines.
This was a great movie
close
poster
close
quote.
on this movie. I don't know. Okay, well, I'll give it to you.
All right. Now, we did ask for feedback, and one of our favorite Jawheads did write in. I love when we hear from Flicker Joe. He writes any comments sometimes. Sometimes we read them, sometimes we don't. But we do love hearing from Flicker Joe. What did he have to say, Matt?
Okay, this is what Joe wrote us. Our life is looking forward, or it's looking back. That's it. Where's the moment? Which I believe is a Pacino line, Joe. This film could easily have been entitled Alec Baldwin Truly Is Donald Trump. Gents, what a great film. I was fascinated by the name of this film from the moment I heard it, and seeing in the opening the name David Mamet explained just why. I knew I was in for a treat. The fast-paced dialogue between men desperate for a real estate close, combined with the dynamic cinematography, is almost comic at times, but spot on. Now, just so we can properly date ourselves, this film was made 2 years after Alec did Red October, 1 year after Al won an Oscar for Scent of a Woman, 2 years following The Abyss with Ed Harris. Spacey wasn't even on the map, and Lemon was still a legend. Banaka was on the rise, and payphones were indispensable. The performances were stellar. No one actor in this star-studded ensemble cast outplays another. I agree. The story and the rhetoric were fantastic. When the chips are down, it's every man for himself. Or is it? There were really no flaws to this film. I had no scenes I disliked, not one. If I learned something, it's how grateful I should be that I became a therapist instead of getting my real estate license. A poster tagline would be, a stupendous roller coaster ride for the underdogs. Lastly, lest we forget, this film also contributed to the rise of James Newton Howard, who made it clear from the get-go that he can do no wrong. Keep the good films coming.
Nice.
Thanks, Joe. That was well thought out. I appreciate that.
I'm glad people are watching the movie of the month. That's the whole reason to do it.
It is.
To turn people on to films that are smaller, might not have been seen, or classics that people have missed.
Yes.
I would give Glengary Glen Ross 3 Jaws.
What?
Yeah.
Really? 3? No,
Yeah.
this is a 4.
Wow, you're just throwing out the 4s today.
It's Glengary Glen Ross, dude. I mean, you're not going to give it 4 stars?
No, I thought it was a 3-jaw movie.
Okay. All right.
You know why? Because of
Why?
Al Pacino, okay?
Why are you hating on Al Pacino?
In this particular film, it was just not the Al Pacino I like.
What is the Al Pacino you like?
I like
Scarface?
I like him in Scarface.
Godfather?
I like him in Godfather.
Scent of a
hitting good-
Woman?
It's starting to go downhill right there. It's a little bit too much Pacino right there.
I wish I had a good Pacino line to throw at you right now. Say hello to my little friend. That's all I can think of.
Wow. All right, 3 Jaws, Glengary Glen Ross, 4 for Matt Kay.
Of course.
Misleading movie title?
No, well, maybe. It's a little weird.
I always was wondering what Glengary Glen Ross was, not knowing what the story was. I had no clue until I watched this movie.
Yeah. It's definitely an odd title.
It is. That is our topic this week. And these guys have been quiet. They're sitting there watching us argue over Al Pacino. So we throw it over to Devin. Did you have fun coming up with these titles of misleading movie titles?
I did. This was a fun list. It was also a tough list. I felt I was making picks that I would think about it and say, well, it's not really misleading. It's just kind of a, in some cases, a nonsensical title or a title that just doesn't really roll off the tongue. So kind of narrowing it down to the specific topic itself was fun. I made a lot of scratches on my paper for sure.
What do you got sitting at number 5?
So number 5 for me, I included not necessarily because it's misleading or I would think it's misleading, but because of a specific incident that occurred in my life. When I was about 9, every day when I'd come home from school, I'd have to go to my grandparents. They ran an antique shop, and they had a back room where I would sit while they watched the shop, and they would just put a DVD or a VHS at the time in the VCR. My grandma had a cardboard box just full of VHSs. I'm pretty sure she got it at like a garage sale, and I don't think she knew it was in it. She pulled a movie out, read the title, thought this is probably appropriate for my 9-year-old grandson, and put it in and left me there. And that movie was Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, no. Wow.
So clearly misleading to some. I think it's a great title. It's very appropriate for the film, obviously, in context. But it did a number on somebody for sure.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Misleading. See?
Yeah, well, I mean, Devin's grandma sure was misled.
Philip, fun time coming up with this list?
Definitely a fun time. Again, I think we shared a lot of the similar titles. Silence of the Lambs on mine as well, but I would have to say Dances with Wolves was an old favorite of mine. But there's no Dancing with Wolves, and there is a wolf. But
there is a wolf.
There's a wolf, 2 socks.
Yeah.
But
I guess he doesn't necessarily dance, right? But he does run and play with.
He does run and play with
socks.
some things like that. Yeah, but it's a little bit misleading as far as that thing. The overall plot goes.
Yeah, no doubt. You're not thinking of an epic Kevin Costner speaking Indian film when you hear Dances with Wolves, probably.
No, you're not. But right in the genre, right in my wheelhouse of the westerns and all that. So.
Nice. Swing it over to Matt. Matt, what do you got sitting at 5?
All right. At number 5, I have a movie which a lot of mine are kind of puns, right? If you saw this movie sitting in the adult section of the video store.
I knew he was going to go. I knew you were going to go here.
Yeah. You would not be surprised to see Free Willy. I mean, I'm just going to get juvenile with this. It's a number 5 pick. They get more misleading from here.
Hey, we're on the same page. I had as an honorable mention Free Willy.
Yeah, Free Willy. I mean, it was the joke of jokes back in the day.
It sure was. I actually went with films that I was confused about and probably stayed away from, maybe because of the title, right? And here was a masterpiece. I think most people would say it's a masterpiece that I remember. I just didn't want to. I didn't know what it was about, and I stayed away from it because of the title. It's directed by Thier Gillian. I'm speaking of Brazil.
Absolute masterpiece.
It is. And I mean, literally, I probably didn't see it until maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And all that time, when it would come up, have you seen Brazil? I'm like, I'm not that interested in learning about Brazil, all that. I had no idea. And who
Could
knew?
have been about the Brazil nut.
Had
You never
no
know.
idea that it was going to be this, sci-fi, otherworldly creation.
Yeah,
that-
surrealistic.
Yeah, I had no clue, and stayed away from Brazil far too long. Damn it. So
Well, hey, Gilliam, come on, man. I mean, can you please title your films better?
that was my number 5.
I'm kidding, by the way. I'm kidding.
Sure. Devin, what do you got sitting at 4?
So I think this one might be a little controversial, but I went with Mad Max Fury Road. It doesn't seem obvious at first, except for the fact that it's titled Mad Max, and he's one of the most inconsequential characters in that entire film.
I would agree.
You cut him out of that script, and it still works just as well.
Yeah, it is interesting. I remember a lot of people saying it's a great movie. Everybody loves it, right?
For sure, yeah.
But they're shocked, I guess, that Mad Max is not really the main character in this movie. And like you said, you could really probably cut him out. If I thought about it, you're probably right. You can almost cut Mad Max out and you still have the same movie.
Yeah, I'm kind of
Everybody
doing the
loves
math
him.
in my head. You're right, yeah.
But everybody loves a mumbling Tom Hardy, so you got to keep him in there.
Yeah,
It's true.
Just for good luck. What do you got sitting there at number 4, Phil?
I'm going to stick with the animal themes, and I'm going to go with Reservoir Dogs. Again, classic Tarantino. No reservoirs, no dogs, but one of the greatest, I think, early independent, crime films.
So I saw this come up a lot in the research here, and I'm wondering, do they even say Reservoir
They do
Dogs
not.
in
They
the
do
film?
not. No.
No, the story, I guess, was apparently Tarantino, he worked at a video store and someone came in and asked for a movie and he thought that was the title they were asking for.
Oh,
And I guess it stuck with him, so.
Reservoir Dogs
I
was
also,
born.
my first job was at a video store, so
Nice.
similarities.
All right, that brings it to my number 4, and I have a tie here. But you'll see why this tie exists. At number 4, I have 2 films, War Machine, which just came out, and The Iron Lady. Neither one of which have anything to do with the Marvel Universe whatsoever.
That's right.
Boo. Who cares about War Machine?
No, misleading, right?
Iron Lady? There is no Iron Lady, though.
There could be. There should be, perhaps. I mean, there's a She-Hulk.
There's an Iron Man, yeah.
Why not the Iron Lady?
Lame jokes, Matt. Lame jokes.
Get ready for more of them, buddy.
Oh, wow.
I mean, when you start off with Free Willy, I mean...
See, I'm going with stories here, and at number 4, I actually had Reservoir Dogs as well. And the backstory on that was, again, going back to the VHS days, there was a knucklehead in the neighborhood whose mom would buy all these copy movies. Somebody would illegally make a bunch of copies, and they would write down the titles, and they would sell them to her. And somehow this movie came over to my brother, and I saw it for well over a year in his room. And I was like, why the hell would I watch Reservoir Dogs? That sounds so stupid.
Sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, it sounds so dumb. Like, I was literally just looking at that title on the VHS and never watched it. And then it wasn't until years later, I'm like, oh, this is that movie, So...
You put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, so that was my number 4 as well, Reservoir Dogs. We're into our 3s.
Yeah, Reservoir Dogs is in my honorable mentions, but my number 3 was I had to bring Stephen King up at least once in this list. Stephen King adaptation. The film was called Stand By Me. Now, the original novella was called The Body,
Yes.
which isn't a great title, but at least it tells you something about the film you're watching. Stand By Me just seems really generic and vague. It doesn't really tell you anything whatsoever about the story you're about to get into.
It's a pop song title, right?
Exactly, and I'm already leery of using song titles as movie titles anyway, unless it's directly featured in the film somehow or has relevance.
But couldn't you say, Stand By Me is sort of like a term for friendship, right? These boys go through something and they want their friendships to stand.
I'm with Devin on this one. In fact,
course you are.
There's another layer to this because I love Stand By
Come over
Me.
the side of the
I
table.
love Stand By Me.
It's a great movie.
Absolutely. But for some reason, I often get it mixed up with Lean on Me, which was the Morgan Freeman vehicle from, I'm the Batman. Like, I love that. Also, it's not a Batman film. You know which one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's layers of misleading in that title.
I didn't have a problem with the title, but okay. To each their own.
It's not that I have a problem with it. It's just that I don't think it's the best representation of the film at hand.
Sure.
All
right.
Agreed.
We swinging over to Philip.
I'm going to go with good old comedy, Rush Hour. They are never actually stuck in rush hour at all in the movie. It's just nonstop action. Got a little Chris Tucker, a little Jackie Chan. So I think it's a slightly misleading title.
I have to admit, I've never seen a Rush Hour film.
Yeah, you should watch the first one.
Yeah?
Only the first one. We're not getting into 2 or 3 or any of those.
Agreed, yeah. It's a decent action comedy. They look like they could be the next buddy cop thing for a minute. Did not work out, unfortunately, with the sequels, but...
No, it's no Lethal Weapon.
It is not. True. They got at least 4 good movies out of that series. Maybe 5. Number 3 for me is Mystic River. Love this movie.
I love the title of this movie, too.
You love the title of the movie?
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It has nothing to do with the story at hand. Does it really?
No, but I love the title.
Right. So you hear a title like Mystic River, and immediately you think this is going to be like a tearjerker, which I guess it kind of is, but not in the way you expect. You expect it to be... what's the term I'm looking for? I mean, listen, I'm just going to say it. You think it's going to be a chick flick, right? Doesn't it sound like a chick flick title? It is not a chick flick, guys. Not a chick flick.
Yeah. I don't know. I
Mystic
do see
Pizza? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe that's it. I don't know what it is about those 2 words put together, but it's very misleading for me. It does not fit the movie almost as badly as Reservoir Dogs, you know?
I was intrigued by it. Swings it over to my number 3, and this was one where I was confused. I thought the film was just about watching a gardener who just did consistently good work. I'm speaking of The Constant Gardener, which turns into this whole pharmaceutical drama, and it's so interesting and a vast story, and I think a really interesting topic to, sort of dive into. And here it's called The Constant Gardener. I remember thinking it was going to be about,
gardening nonstop.
Nonstop gardening.
That sounds like a fascinating film, by the way.
Riveting.
But I do highly recommend The Constant Gardener. I believe Rachel Weisz won an Oscar for it, I believe. Can you throw that in the jaw box? Rachel Weisz Oscar, I think. So, All right, we're into our 2s.
All right, number 2, I went with, I believe it's Lars von Trier, Antichrist. It sounds like a horror movie. I think it is to a large degree. It's a very creepy, horror. Disturbing movie, but I literally sat through the entire movie waiting for some kind of supernatural presence to present itself. And, there's sort of the psychological aspect. But it's the question of, did that really happen? I don't know. I just think in terms of titling the film, just based on that one scene, I feel like it was very misleading. Lars von Trier is an interesting guy. He never does anything that you expect, I guess. But for me, that was my number 2, simply because the title would lead you to believe that the movie's about something entirely different than it actually was.
No arguments. Yeah, it is a misleading title.
I agree.
It's a disturbing ass film.
Yeah, I like
Definitely.
Philip?
The Deer Hunter, De Niro. I know he's a deer hunter, but there is no actual deer hunting in that film whatsoever.
No,
I think there is in the opening scene.
Well, actually,
he shoots a deer.
Yeah, he shoots a deer in the beginning. Okay, but yeah, the rest of the plot I think would steer pretty clear of a hunting film that you'd expect.
A little bit deeper than just
a little bit deeper
hunting deer.
And De Niro at his best, of course.
You would expect from a title like The Deer Hunter, it's like a dad and his son, and he's sort of teaching him how to be a man. It's a coming of age
backwoods
story.
Thriller.
Yeah, maybe a backwoods thriller, but certainly not what we got.
No.
I agree.
Very misleading.
At number 2, I could easily be stealing anybody's number 1 here with this pick. It is one of the most frustrating movie titles of all time, though it is a movie near and dear to my heart, as are many of these. The Never-Ending Story. If it never ended, how come you made a sequel to it? It's the never-ending. It frustrated me when I was a kid. It frustrates me today. It's just weird, bad title. It's like the never-ending Gobstopper. Well, they end. Okay, get over it.
False advertising.
False advertising. Thank you,
Definitely.
Ryan.
All right, my number 2 was a movie that starred Adam Sandler called Funny People.
Excellent. Yeah.
There was nobody funny in this entire movie, right?
Yeah.
But no, to be absolutely honest, it was partly a joke there, but also the film's a lot heavier than what it was, on paper. If you saw a movie that starred Adam Sandler and it was entitled Funny People, you think it's just could be possibly a screwball comedy, but no. There's, somebody who gets sick in the film. It's a little bit deeper than what you would expect out of an Adam Sandler movie.
Do you think they could have been going for irony with that title?
I don't know.
Just a curiosity. I'm not defending. I think it's a great choice because I agree that movie didn't have much going on for it. But it's just a benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
He's a writer.
All right, here we are. Our number ones.
So this was really tough. I had a couple of ones that I took off the list before I found my number one, but eventually I went with Darren Aronofsky's The Fountain.
Disagree.
Oh, come on. Simply for the fact,
there is a fountain in the movie.
There's no fountain. It's a tree.
It's like the fountain of youth, though.
Yeah, but it's a tree. It's not a fountain. It's a
tree of youth. They should have called it the tree.
Yeah,
for
why not
Christ's
call
sake,
it the
Rye.
Tree of Life?
The
I don't think
tree.
that movie had come out yet at that point. But that was my number one, simply because I felt like it was not just misleading, but it's like they purposefully switched out one word when it was obviously something completely different.
I got to go back and watch the movie. I've been dying to watch it again. I only saw it one time. Have you seen it recently?
It's a beautiful movie. I've seen it a few times. It's a really gorgeous film. I think it was Aronofsky at his maybe not his best, but before he kind of went on his what I think is probably his downward spiral after that. It's a really great film. It reminds me a lot of Terrence Malick flicks. It has that kind of visceral, like
You didn't
ethereal.
You didn't care for The Black Swan?
Yeah, I didn't care for The Black Swan, actually. Not my favorite. I liked The Wrestler, although I think for Aronofsky it was a little, I guess, on the nose in a way. I didn't feel like he was exploring as much visually and kind of, I don't know. He's a guy that like takes chances, and I feel like his last few films either took the wrong chances or just didn't take enough.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you got sitting at number one, Philip?
Cinderella Man. Russell Crowe, we got a little action here. It's one of my favorite boxing movies. I think that it's a period piece, so I favor the historical drama.
Sure.
And there's no royalty, there's no princesses and princes and things like that coming around.
But he is the underdog, right?
It's his nickname. I get it.
Yeah.
It's certainly a Cinderella story.
I could see some confusion, though.
It's a little bit misleading, I think.
Yeah. I'll give it to you.
Matt?
Yeah. So here we go. I'm coming full circle.
Oh, Jesus.
Full circle. Right back to Free
Willy 2?
Yeah, no. But easily a film that could be very easily misfiled into the adult section. I don't recommend Googling the title of this film. It is simply 3 letters, XXX. The Vin Diesel, surprisingly decent Vin Diesel vehicle, XXX. I thought it was going to launch a franchise, which I guess at this point it kind of has. He's back to being XXX. But for a time it was Ice Cube, and now Vin Diesel's XXX again. Whatever. The first movie was actually a decent summer popcorn action flick. But that title is problematic, right? I mean, seriously, if you put that title on a VHS tape or a DVD, whatever, and your mom saw it sitting on your desk, she'd be like, "What the hell is this?" You would have to hide it under your bed or something.
Sure. Wow.
I had a friend who was not allowed to go see the movie, even though it was, I believe, PG-13, simply because of the title. His parents said absolutely not.
I'm sure that happened a lot, So it was a misleading title and probably cost the film.
Nice.
I got a few honorables here.
All right. My number one actually was, I guess it's misleading, but it's a wonderful film that I wanted to highlight. It is entitled Sexy Beast.
Nice.
And this stars Ben Kingsley.
Yes,
and
yeah.
I've brought this up before, how menacing Ben Kingsley is in this movie, and I absolutely adore the film. But the title, Sexy Beast, could be something completely different. You could see this in the adult section, Matt Kay, that you always peruse.
Or it sounds like a raucous comedy or something, right? Like a Mike Myers type thing,
right?
Something Austin Powers would say.
Completely different kind of crime drama that you're going to get involved in when you go see this Ben Kingsley film. But I highly recommend checking it out. Came out in, I think, the year 2000. So love Sexy Beast. Honorable mentions, Matt?
All right. Back to the Future 2. Again, same thing with Never-Ending Story, right?
What are you talking about? That's the most asinine thing you've ever said.
Really?
Yeah.
Think about it, Rye. Think about it.
Back to the Future too.
Right. If he went back to the future, never mind. I'm not even going to bother to explain it.
What?
Happiness.
Yeah.
They're not happy
With
in
a
that,
Y?
in that movie.
Yeah, that's Pursuit of Happiness. Sorry, that was a different film.
No, right.
Yeah.
Different film. Swingers. Another one that could easily be misfiled.
No.
They're not swingers, dude.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, Vince Vaughn's constantly trying to...
No, you're not following my definition of the word swingers. No. Milk, right?
Yeah. His last name's Milk.
There's no milk.
You idiot.
No, I think this is a documentary.
Harvey Milk. It's not misleading. Milk.
Babe. There's no babes in that movie whatsoever.
That I'll give
James
you.
Cromwell.
That I'll give you. Yes.
That'll do.
That's
Good
it,
stuff.
guys.
Wow.
You got any honorables?
I have a couple. I don't know if they quite fit the bill, but I had Blade Runner. I know that they're called Blade Runners, but I never understood what that was a reference to. Yeah. There Will Be Blood, misleading in the sense that it seems like a title that's for a different film. I love the title, I love the film, but I just didn't think they quite mixed together. And then Inglourious Bastards was my other one. I think simply because you have this squad of 12 or 13 guys. They're called the Bastards, but you only ever actually meet like 2 of them. It's basically Brad Pitt and Eli Roth, the whole movie. I don't even know if you know that, if you learn the other guys' names. And then it's mostly about the other characters that surround them. So I thought that was a misleading title. And a misleading trailer as well. It seemed like it was going to be a huge action flick. Still, it's one of my favorite Tarantino movies, but not the movie I expected going into it.
Interesting. I'm sure there's some other ones out there, too.
Oh, there's hundreds.
Yeah,
hundreds.
So if you have Twitter pulled up, shoot us a tweet at Cinemajaw or an email, feedback@cinemajaw.com, and we'll retweet and read those emails. We like getting feedback, Matt.
Yes, we do.
What we're going to do is take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to play trivia, Spider-Man cast movie trivia, plus a CinemaWAR looking at Daniel Day-Lewis. We'll be right back on CinemaJaw.
Hi, I'm Matt Kay with a CinemaJaw movie fact. In regards to the film Baby Driver, Edgar Wright had been sitting on the idea for this film for many years. His first use of it was in a music video he directed for British electronic duo Mint Royale and their track Blue Song. The video stars Noel Finding as a music-loving getaway driver for a group of bank robbers, one of whom is Wright's regular Nick Frost. A clip from the video is featured in the film when channels are being flipped through on the television in Baby's apartment. And that is your CinemaJaw movie fact.
And we are back on CinemaJaw, hanging out with Philip and Devin from Fatal Funnel Films. Interesting enough, they are going to be at a film festival, the same one, Windy City Film Festival, with Elias. It's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, it is pretty exciting stuff. Actually, I have a question. So, me and Ryan have been doing this podcast for years, and we've sort of been through the ringer on what it takes to have a creative collaboration partnership type thing. So I wanted to ask you guys, sort of putting you on the spot, what's the most challenging thing about having a collaborative creative partnership?
Well, I think just figuring out, roles and things like that are always difficult for, sometimes partners to figure out. But for us, it's just more about storytelling than it is, credits up on the screen. We work together very well, going back and forth about the stories. We know our strengths, we know our weaknesses. So I think that the two of us have come together over these projects now for a few years, and I think to answer your question, I think the most difficult part about our
I want to jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think I don't think we have the traditional kind of writer-director relationship. We collaborate from the get-go. So, one of us pitches an idea, we kind of wrap it back and forth. I do the writing, and Phil does technically do the directing when we're on set. But we're together every step of the way. We're checking in with each other. Even as a writer, I'm on set. There for every scene that we shoot. I'm behind monitor. So I think the difficulty is in kind of figuring out our roles and separating the two roles of, you're the director and I'm the writer. And there are times where we have to step back and say, like, you're the director, so this scene is up to you, or this decision is up to you. I'm the writer, so this character, whatever I'm writing in this scene, that's going to be up to me ultimately. But we try to keep each other in the loop at all times.
I think communication is the biggest thing about it. We're literally always working together seamlessly on set. And then when it comes to the editing, post-production, we got together on all the notes, went back and forth about that quite a bit, and just we have an understanding. We, almost just like finishing each other's sentences when you're doing something like that.
It is good. It's a rare find. So congratulations to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody was going to ask me that question, what's difficult about working with Matt Kay? It's simple. It's the body odor.
Oh, geez, come on, man. You could have come up with a better joke.
I mean, you don't even shower every day, and you're sitting next to Elias. Elias, I see you wincing over there.
I shower every day.
Yeah, I thought I was bad in the jaw box, but
All right. I have a quick follow-up question here, because a lot of our listeners are aspiring filmmakers and people who want to get into the industry themselves. You guys started in 2014. If you could go back, I mean, you're getting to the point now where you're staring down the barrel of your feature films. Mm-hmm. If you could give yourself advice in 2014, you travel back in time, Marty McFly style, in a DeLorean, and give yourself advice.
Back to the Future 2.
Yes, Back to the Future 2. What would you tell yourselves?
Wow, Mr. Barbara Walters over there.
Right.
Well, I think something interesting you said is that people that are aspiring filmmakers, I would still consider myself an aspiring filmmaker, and I think even though we've made films and we can claim that we are indeed filmmakers, the ambition never goes away, and the drive never goes away. You want to constantly be bettering yourself. You want to get to the next level. You want to figure out what you didn't know before that you know now, and then question whether or not you actually know it now. But going back, I think I wouldn't say that we would do anything different. But I think the most important advice I would give to myself in 2014 is stick with it. And we have stuck with it, but it's a roller coaster ride. You go from an investor meeting where it seems like things are going to happen and happen really soon, to waiting another year, waiting for word, waiting to figure out whether or not this is really going to happen or whether it's a pipe dream.
Patience.
Exactly. Yes, definitely patience. A kind of calm demeanor. Try to recognize that the highs and lows go together. It's a wave. It's never one or the other.
I would say start. If I were to look back, and again, I wouldn't change much either, because it's been a very fruitful relationship and something that I want to build on. But I think starting a little bit smaller. We're ambitious guys. We work on big projects. Just for a living on a studio project, so we see the scope of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think you start small and you extend yourself. A couple of short films, and again, into the feature, but the more manageable feature. And then, you keep building upon that so that you can start with something that's, something you can put out, in a relatively quick fashion.
I like the game plan.
Yeah, that's what I like about the strategy. You guys have thought this through, which is it's refreshing to see.
I've been making independent films for a while now with other companies and other projects, and so I've seen the successes and the failures and what to do. And I think when starting our own company, that's one of the things that we both wanted to do was do it the right way, and then again make sure that everyone that we're working with feels like they're contributing, and that they're not just it's not just another job to them. These guys are allowing us to come in on this collaboration.
Right.
Awesome.
We don't want to put all our eggs in one basket. We're not looking to make one movie that's gonna set us up for the rest of our lives. Like, we're here to make movies, as many as we can get on paper and on screen. We want to keep doing it.
Nice.
I, for one, will be following.
I did want to comment, too, how much I liked that the short was titled Cellar Door. And when you finally do see that cellar door, how eerie of a shot it is, and intriguing. That's I think when that happens, it's like, all right, I want to know more of what's going on here. So.
Well, and that's some of the things we like to move along quickly on set, working with our cinematographer, working with, our actors and things like that. We can split apart and we can do those different things, and then we can come together. But shots like that, that's Daryl Miller coming together with us when he sees the location and saying, hey, let's bring him down with this dolly, and let's get creepy with it. So I think it was a very dynamic shot.
It worked. For the jawheads listening to this that want to follow along, get involved, support you guys, where's the best place to do that online?
FatalFunnelFilms.com is our main website. That's the hub. But we do have, like I said, Instagram, Facebook Cellar Door page, and we're going to be opening up some other social media accounts as we get further along here.
Let's do it. Let's do it, jawheads. Let's collaborate.
Do it.
I love it. Matt, before we get to trivia, before we get to CinemaWAR, we did throw a few items into the jaw box, and Elias, he wants to get out of that jaw box every once in a while and drink his fancy soda water over there. I don't know what the hell he's got going on. Heck, let's open up that jaw box.
What's your pleasure, Mr. Cotton?
The box.
We got a box! Oh, what's in the box?
How's it going? You know what? This is the first time ever that I am screening A, in the same festival with our guests, and B, in the same exact block, the same exact film block. Unfortunate timing for the listeners, though, because they don't have time to go. By the time this is released, it will have already happened, which what a block that was, fellas, right? They laughed.
What a great block.
Awesome.
Woo!
Well done, guys.
Congratulations.
It played well.
Awesome.
The thrill ride that we were all on when your film played.
I'd like to thank the Academy. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Let's jump into these questions here. We have, the whole list of Al Pacino's movies.
This was the downward spiral of what I'm claiming of
Whatever.
Pacino.
There's no such thing.
Yes.
There's no such thing.
Yes.
So
No.
it seems like it might have started earlier, but we're just going.
See? Well, Elias is giving fact also.
So 1999 was Any Given Sunday, so I'll just go.
What's wrong with him in that movie?
It's terrible.
From there to the recent films are Chinese Coffee, Insomnia, Simone, People I Know, The Recruit, Gigli.
Okay,
Angel in
Gigli's a piece of
America,
crap.
Which was a miniseries, and that's a great miniseries. The Merchant of Venice, Two for the Money, and 88 Minutes is 2007.
I like Simone. I would even suggest that it
Two
was
for
a
the Money,
precursor
I
to
believe,
her.
Is Matthew McConaughey. It is garbage. I mean, that's another just dud.
Again, I'm not saying the guy didn't make any duds.
Yeah, that's what you were more or less
But
claiming.
he elevates every dud that he's in, because you could say the movie sucked, but at least Al Pacino was in it.
Yeah, you can't say that
got
for
the
Two for the
presence.
Money.
He's got great presence.
What else we throw in that show box?
When was Boiler Room released? And that was in 2000.
2000. Interesting. It's getting older. Jesus, that's 17 years old. That's crazy.
And did Rachel Weisz win an Oscar for The Constant Gardener? Yes, she did. For actress in a supporting role.
Yeah, it's a great movie. If you haven't seen The Constant Gardener, highly recommend.
She's a great actress. I like her a lot.
Yep.
He's still out there gardening, by the way.
Yeah.
He just doesn't stop.
He's on to his carrots now.
Yep.
Was that everything?
That is everything.
Get back in that jaw box.
Will do.
Matt, it brings us to a segment called
CinemaWAR.
CinemaWAR works like this. Me and Matt, we're fighting on a topic. Our guests, Philip and Devin, get to play judge and jury this week and tell the jawheads who they think won the CinemaWAR. And it's important because we're fighting for 20 seconds of jaw time.
Mm-hmm. And you can't split the vote, fellas. You have to have a consensus.
Right.
We
because
got this
there's two of you.
collaboration thing down. We'll be fine.
Okay,
Good. We're talking Daniel Day-Lewis this week. Heck, Elias, tell the jawheads at home what today's CinemaWAR topic is.
Today's CinemaWAR topic. Reports this week say that Daniel Day-Lewis is retiring from acting. Will this be a hard goodbye or a good riddance? Rye, you'll be fighting for a hard goodbye. Matt, you'll be fighting for good riddance. Let this milkshake of a CinemaWAR begin.
Matt, I promise you, in this CinemaWAR, there will be blood, and it will be yours. I could win this argument with my left foot. In any art or sport, when you see someone with an amazing gift like Daniel Day-Lewis has for acting, it is always sad to see them say goodbye. He is a true titan of his field.
Calm down, LeBron. Daniel Day-Lewis. Daniel Day-Lewis. Who the hell cares about Daniel Day-Lewis? One of the greatest actors of all time? Baloney. The guy is overrated. And hey, you're Dan Lewis, okay? Just Dan Lewis. We sat next to each other in shop class, remember?
Wow. I thought you were just being a jerk with this Al Pacino, but you really are a jerk face, Matt. Matt, as a species, we have been making movies for a long time, yet only one man alone has ever won 3 Best Actor Oscars. His name is Daniel Day-Lewis.
No, it's not. And you know what that's called? Luck. Enough about who is drinking whose milkshake, because you know what? I don't care. Sure, it was a great scene. So is the Alec Baldwin scene in Glengary Glen Ross. But as much as we love the guy, we don't put him on a pedestal. Dan Lewis is a fine actor, but I won't miss him that much.
Matt, you know what you are? You're a bastard in a basket. A bastard in a basket. Sure, a lot is talked about on how Daniel Day-Lewis stays in character all the time, but that's all gibberish that does not mean much. All that matters is the art that he creates. I don't care about the method. I care about the result. And most people agree Daniel Day-Lewis's results are better than most.
All right, and here's another thing. Like Ozzy Osbourne, like Friday the 13th, the final chapter, like the artist formerly known as Prince. Do I really think this is the final chapter from Daniel Day-Lewis? No. It reeks of a publicity stunt, and I will only believe it after 10 years of inactivity. Make it 20.
Whoopsie daisy, Matt. I just made another great movie. In the Name of the Father, Last of the Mohicans, Gangs of New York. Heck, he is an English and Irish actor, and yet he gave the best portrayal of an American president in Lincoln than anyone ever has. You should cherish the chance to see a genius at work, not just say good riddance. I'm finished.
Nobody's seen that movie, okay? He's no Laurence Olivier. It was once said by a guest of this show that she could watch Dan Lewis sit and watch the paint dry. Well, she's in luck, because I think he's made that movie twice since then. There Will Be Blood and Gangs of New York are great movies, but telling me that the world won't continue to spin without Dan Lewis, I think it will. And Hollywood will be just fine without him.
We are button heads here on CinemaWAR, as we do each and every week. We throw it to our guests, our juries. What did you guys think of this CinemaWAR?
Well, to Matt's point, I do wonder if this is a Joaquin Phoenix kind of retiring from acting.
Sure.
Especially since he is so well known for really taking his roles to the nth degree, staying in character all the time. I have to wonder if it's a real retirement, if we're never going to see him again, or if this is the kind of thing where in a couple years he's gonna pop back up.
Maybe he's playing a role where he has to retire early.
You never know.
Yeah, I'm a big Daniel Day-Lewis fan, actually. So, I have to agree. I definitely don't think he's going to be hanging him up, but
that's not the argument. We're not arguing if he's going to retire or not.
That's true.
That's true.
That is true. I will have to say, I think there are roles that I could never picture anybody but Daniel Day-Lewis playing.
The Butcher.
Exactly. Yeah, Gangs of New York comes to mind for sure. And I do think that when it comes time for him to put on his trousers and do the work, he does a really great job. So I would love to see him in more. I will miss him for sure when it comes time for him to do what he needs to do.
Yeah, Last of the Mohicans was one of my favorite childhood movies, so I became a Daniel Day-Lewis fan early on. So
you guys got to pick a winner here.
Well, I think we're in
agreement.
Agree.
We do not want to see,
I think that's a win for me.
That's a win for you. And hey, you know what? The deck was stacked against me here, I must admit. But please, Dan Lewis, okay? Can we just call him Dan?
We're not calling him Dan
Danny
Lewis.
boy.
Dan.
You put in a good effort.
I did.
It was.
Thanks, guys. There was no way I was winning this one, so go ahead, Rye. That earns you 20 seconds.
To rant and rave on whatever I want.
That's right.
I do want to talk about how another random thing. I talked about, what was it last week? I think I talked about how that guy.
I don't know. I never listened to you.
That guy sneezed in my hot tub. I was talking about that one time. Now I want to comment about the stop sign culture. It's just gone out of our culture. I think we got to remember, if you guys pull up to an intersection.
Really?
Yes. Remember, if you're turning left.
Are you serious?
Go after the guy. I'm kidding about that. I wanted to nitpick on something that's been bothering me. No, I will say when I saw The Big Sick, I was reminded how great Holly Hunter is. We need more Holly Hunter. And that's all. Cherish her. She's a great actress that, I don't know, something in that role. I was like, yes, more Holly Hunter, please.
Okay, I can get behind that.
All right.
I like Holly Hunter.
Yes.
And for the record, I like Daniel Day-Lewis as well. I do.
I knew you were a fan of Dan Lewis.
Oh, he was a fan of Danny.
Ever since you had that shop class with him.
That's right.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to be the devil's advocate.
All right. It brings us to trivia. As we mentioned, there is the 17th Spider-Man adaptation in the last 14 years. Am I doing my math right?
No, you're not.
Did I miss one? No, but there are an absolute ton of Spider-Man movies. So we are playing Spider-Man movie trivia. Could be any question in regards to the cast that have been in recent Spider-Man movies. Devin, Philip, you're our guests. You get to choose if you want to go first or let Matt go first. Now, there are steals if the person doesn't know it. And if you get hung up on any question, you do get one trip to the ER. Elias Rodriguez has clues to all the questions. What do you guys want to do?
Let him go first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Question number one. I should have mentioned they do start out easy. Question number one over to Matt K.
Stacking the deck.
Matt, this Pineapple Express actor appeared in 3 Spider-Man films. Name him.
James Franco.
1-0, Matt K. Easy enough for you, Matt?
Easy enough.
Question 2 over to Philip and Devin. Name the actress who played Aunt May in the Amazing Spider-Man film 2012. That was the second series of films.
I never saw either of them.
Wasn't Sally Field.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it was. Yeah, definitely.
Teamwork.
Yeah.
Teamwork.
1-1. We got a web crawler of a game here, don't we, Matt K?
Work on that joke.
Yeah, all right. Question 3 over to Matt. Andrew Garfield, who played Spidey in The Amazing Spider-Man, was just nominated for his first Oscar last year in a film directed by Mel Gibson. Name the movie.
Hacksaw Ridge.
2-1, Matt K. Keep it perfect here, guys.
Well done.
Question 4 over to you. This Spider-Man bad guy also appeared in Killer Joe, We Bought a Zoo, and Sideways. Name him.
Thomas Hayden Church.
2-2.
Played the Sandman.
Yes, he did. All right, everybody perfect. I like it. Number 5. Now they start to get a little bit harder. Matt, question 5 over to you. J.K. Simmons won an Oscar for Whiplash, a movie directed by this man who just became the youngest winner of the Best Directing Oscar for La La Land. Name him.
This is question number...
This is question number 5.
Okay.
Who directed La La Land and Whiplash?
Totally blanking. I can tell these guys are chomping at the bit. They know it.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt.
Everybody
they're
knows
all
this
smart.
one.
I mean, they
Yeah.
have no poker face over there. I mean, zero.
Yeah, aces, both of them. God. Was it Mel Brooks? Mel Brooks did.
That is completely incorrect.
It's his birthday.
Philip, you were grinning at this one. You got a chance for a steal.
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh my goodness! Wow, it was a poker face.
I'm not sure. I'm going to pronounce his name right, but it's Damien Chazelle. Close
There
enough.
you go.
Yes,
See?
there you go. Wow. I mean, you got to admit, there's 2 of them here, Matt. So they do have an advantage.
They do. Yeah.
They take the lead,
Strengths
3-2.
and weaknesses.
Big swing here, 3-2.
So, there was an opportunity. Big
Yeah.
swing. Go on.
3-2, Devin and Philip, and question 6 is over to them. Guys, Tobey Maguire played Spidey 3 times. He also played Bobby Fischer in this chess movie that came out in 2015. Name it. 2015 chess movie about the great Bobby Fischer.
Well, it's obviously not Finding Bobby Fischer or whatever that movie was.
No, it's not. We should call in our...
You could go to the ER. It's question number 6.
Out of how many
Out
questions?
of 8.
Out of 8.
Out of 8. Yeah.
You are up 3-2.
I think we should save it.
Yep, we're saving it.
We'll just claim ignorance on this one.
That is incorrect. Claim ignorance was not the name of the movie. Matt, you have a chance for a steal.
I mean, I think they correctly pointed out it couldn't be Searching for Bobby Fischer, which came out way
earlier.
Way earlier.
Tobey Maguire played Spidey 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
He played Bobby Fischer in this chess movie that came out in 2015.
I will go to the ER.
Whoa,
why the hell
a trip
not?
to the
You
ER.
guys get to hear the clue anyway.
Question number 6 over to Elias Rodriguez. What was the name of that 2015 Bobby Fischer movie?
Your clue is the least value piece on a chessboard gives its life.
Matt has no clue how to play
I
chess.
do.
I know
do.
you don't.
I do.
I know you don't.
I don't remember exactly how this title was constructed, but I'm gonna guess Pawn Sacrifice.
Wow. Thank Elias for the clue.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well done.
jeez. He ties it up 3-3. Now it swings back over to Matt K because question 7 is over to you, Matt.
Ooh.
Matt, Gwen Stacy was played by Emma Stone, who just won Oscar for La La Land opposite Ryan Gosling. She has starred with Ryan Gosling in 2 other films. Name them both.
The Place Beyond the Pines and Drive. I don't know. I don't even think I got one of them.
That is completely incorrect. We throw it over to Philip and Devon here. You guys got a chance for a steal and to reclaim the lead.
What do you think, Phil?
Emma Watson,
Crazy
Ryan
Stupid
Gosling.
Love
Oh boy.
was the one with Steve Carell and Ryan Gosling. Yeah. And then, the other one would be...
One other one.
It's not Easy A, is it?
Want to go with that?
I think we should. You got one of them. I think we should get a clue on that.
All right, let's get a clue.
Oh,
on
a
that.
trip to the ER, Elias Rodriguez. What was the name of those 2 other movies that Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone were in?
Your clue is, I wish I had a gang to help with this clue. Does that sound crazy?
What was it? What was it? I hope I had a gang.
I wish I had a gang to help with this clue. Does that sound crazy?
I think they got the crazy
Stupid
part.
Love. We had a gang. I think I know what the movie is. I just can't remember the name of it. I think it's the one
That's the
where
problem.
he's in Thailand and he's like a Thai a boxing promoter or something like that. Do you know what I'm
the
talking
Thai
about?
boxing movie? She was in that movie?
I don't know. It's the only other Ryan Gosling name I can think of that would involve gangs.
Didn't you mention you were into Thai
but
boxing?
That was a terrible film.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Oh, man.
Anything?
We just gotta. Nope.
Mm-mm.